In our last episode, I shared my story, the late night spirals, the depression, the anxiety, the emotional weight that comes with endometriosis. But I don't want to leave you with only my voice. So today, I'm bringing on someone who can help us unpack the mental health toll of chronic illness and give us tools to care for not just our bodies, but our minds too. Welcome back to My Endo Talks. Are you listening? I'm your host, Patricia, and today I am joined by someone truly special. I want to introduce you to Kim Paulk. Kim is a professionally trained and experienced mindset and accountability coach, and the founder of Good to Great Counseling and Mindset Transformation. She specializes in positive psychology and provides counseling and coaching services that help eliminate negativity, manage stress, and help people bounce back after adversity. Whether you're trying to boost your self esteem, reconnect with your authentic self, or finally make progress towards your personal goals, Kim is the kind of guide who meets you exactly where you are and helps you get to where you're meant to be. Kim, thank you so much for joining us today. My listeners have been waiting for this conversation, and I know your wisdom is going to bless so many people. So, before we dive into these questions, I just want to say this: mental health is deeply personal. Everyone's journey looks different, but the emotions, the fear, the grief, the uncertainty are often shared. So today, we're not just talking about endometriosis, we're talking about the human experience behind it. So, with that in mind, Kim, we're going to go ahead and start at the beginning.
Okay, my pleasure.
All right. So, the first question that I have for you today: can you talk about why endometriosis or chronic illness in general often takes such a toll on mental health?
Okay, first of all, family or friends may not fully understand exactly what it is that you're going through, or the person that's dealing with chronic illness or endometriosis is going through.
Hmm.
So it leaves you or the person struggling to ask themselves, who am I now? Who am I now that I have been diagnosed with this chronic illness?
Hmm.
Which then ultimately leads to grief, loss, and a low self esteem.
Hmm.
Following that, a person may suffer now from anxiety or depression, and then have limitations, which at times may lead to burnout.
Hmm. So before I go to my next question, your camera shifted and I can't see your full beautiful face.
Uh oh, hold
Yeah.
on.
There we go.
Can
Yeah.
you see me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. So I appreciate that response. So, in regards to that, what kinds of emotional or psychological patterns do you see most often in your patients? Is it depression, anxiety, grief?
Well, the patterns are yes, depression, anxiety, grief, post traumatic stress disorder. A lot of those things come about, but it's a result of the loss of control of their body.
Mhm.
So chronic illness leads to the loss of control. It's not as simple as taking a Tylenol for a headache
Mhm.
or, put some kind of rubbing cream on your knee for joint pain.
Yeah.
Now it's a loss of control.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like it leads to helplessness and hopelessness.
Mm. So, for so many people with endometriosis, the medical journey includes those years of being brushed off, dismissed, or told that it's just bad periods. So, how does this kind of medical dismissal impact mental health in the long term?
Well, actually, more of the hopelessness and the helplessness can occur, and it may lead the patient to feeling like they're on their own.
Mm,
No one understands it. It's all in my mind, and I continue to be dismissed. Now I have post-traumatic stress disorder, and every time I go to the doctor, I'm thinking they're going to dismiss me.
mm.
So fear and anxiety builds up with every office visit.
Interesting. So, is it normal to feel like you're doubting your own reality after years of not being believed?
Yes, yes, because a lot of the way we think of ourselves may be impacted by the way others perceive us.
Mm,
So if you're continuously presented with people doubting you or
mhm,
dismissing your symptoms of what you're feeling, you
mhm,
may internalize it and then you start self-doubting and you start dismissing your own reality.
mm. Okay. So, for someone listening, let's say who feels stuck in a dark place, what's the very first step that they can take towards that mental health care?
Well, first you have to, with like with anything else, own it. You have to own the struggle. You have
Mhm,
to own what you're going through. Yes, I'm
mhm,
having mental challenges as a result of this chronic illness, whether it be endometriosis,
mhm,
diabetes, anything. You have to now say, I am having trouble.
mhm.
Okay, we can't overlook it. We can't suppress it. We have to own it first. Then we have to seek out the proper support, you know,
Okay.
following that. And you can do like things like that. So first thing own it, then to get that proper support.
Okay. So, what coping tools or practices have you seen help people living with chronic pain?
Well, first of all, coping looks like this, not being defined by the illness.
Mm,
Okay. So it's living life around the illness. Okay, so it may be as simple as journaling. It may be as simple as doing things that you love to do.
mhm,
Not minimizing that is going on, but you learn to live life around it instead
mhm,
of always thinking about who you used to be. Because newsflash, you may not ever be the person that you used to be, but focus on getting better
mhm,
or becoming a better version of yourself. In my practice, we deal
mhm,
with solution-oriented practice. So what we're doing,
mhm,
I'm talking to this client, we're trying to come up with solutions. We're building coping mechanisms and strategies to get us to recovery and to
mhm,
become resilient.
mm. So, to piggyback on that, how do you talk to those patients, about that grief of losing maybe a version of that life that they thought they'd have?
Okay. So actually, as I was sitting here thinking further, you may want to then compare who you used to be to who you are now
Mm,
and focus on the good parts of who you are now.
mhm.
Because having chronic illness can develop a new compassion within yourself. You
Oh.
learn to be more compassionate of others dealing with the same or something
Mm,
similar that has developed. So
mhm,
that's a whole nother level of strength that you may have. So that's what we have to kind of look at.
Hmm. Never thought of it that way. So, what would be your advice for people who feel like endometriosis has stolen their identity or even made them feel less than?
Ask yourself, what strength in me still remains in the heat of this adversity? What are those strengths inside me that still remain? What values do I still have within me?
Mhm.
That may be your spiritual relationship with God. You
Mm,
know, what values do I still have to hold on to, even in the new version of within myself? What is that? And what new meanings can emerge from this adversity?
mm. Okay. Now, therapy, I know, can feel intimidating, especially if someone has already experienced that medical dismissal. So, how can someone find a mental health professional who truly understands chronic illness?
So this is a deep question.
Hmm.
There might be someone that does not truly understand a
Hmm.
chronic illness because they themselves may not have been through a chronic illness, but you
Hmm.
want the kind of therapist that believe you first and foremost.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, they have to believe you. They can't
Yeah.
be dismissive to you. That's first and foremost.
Hmm.
Um, you may want to make sure that they're able to validate and empower you. You
Mm,
have to feel that coming from them.
mm,
Um, you don't want them to make you feel like you could think yourself out of the challenge.
uh-huh.
They might say, you need to think more positive.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yes and no. You can't think yourself out of it. You can
Hmm.
allow yourself to think positively, but you can't ignore the pain.
Mm,
Okay. So
yeah.
thinking positive doesn't mean that I'm feeling a certain kind of way today. It
Hmm.
just means I feel this way. I have acknowledged it.
Hmm.
And now I'm going to work my way to move from it. But I'm not going to ignore that it has happened. So you want
Mm,
a therapist that's able to help you challenge that and never to be dismissive of your symptoms.
mhm. Definitely. Especially if you go through all those previous doctor's appointments and see many doctors and they continue to dismiss you, you definitely don't want to be dismissed when you're trying to take care of your mental.
Right.
So, so with all the heavy stories and all the pain that, walks into your office and, with the clients that you see, what's something that gives you hope?
What gives me hope is their courage. I love their courage, their willingness to be vulnerable with me.
Mhm.
That gives me hope. It also how you say, validates the reason for why I have chosen to do this.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, my clients, a lot of my clients are adolescents and
Mhm.
they are going through, I mean, for real. Some of them have suicidal ideation when I meet them. So
Mm,
what's good for me is when I see a client move from that. I'm thinking
mhm.
of a client in particular. I met her in the heat of suicide ideation, but
Mhm.
now she's planning to go off to college out of
Mm,
state.
nice.
Yes.
Mhm.
So having hope for the future, that's what helps me and gives me hope when it comes to my clients.
Mhm.
Um, and when they finally believe in themselves, I often like to think of this. It's
Mhm.
not me as a therapist, it's more my client having the willingness to
Mm,
change and
yes.
God working through me to facilitate that change.
Mm, nice. You gotta definitely be passionate, about it and want to help, and in your response, you can hear the passion in your voice, and you saw that whole change on your face as you were speaking it, you see that smile that came. Nice. I like it. So, my last question for you is, What do you wish every patient sh- could know about their mental health and their worth?
I need the patient with the chronic illness or endometriosis in specific to
Hmm.
know that your body may have changed,
Hmm.
but your worth and your value has not.
Hmm.
I need to for them to know that. I also need to know that it's very important to understand that hope and grief can live in the same space.
Hmm.
I can grieve and I can have hope for the future all in the same space.
Hmm.
That's what I would love for my clients to take away from our sessions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm. So it's funny that you mentioned that hope, because my next episode we're actually talking about dreaming with chronic illness, how to hold hope and, possibility along the reality of pain. So, first off, I want to thank you so much for being here today. You've given us a lot of clarity, definitely that compassion and tools that we can carry into our daily lives. Your work in that mindset transformation and emotional healing is very powerful. And I'm grateful that, my listeners and I, got to experience this. And to everyone that's listening, I'll have all of Kim's links and ways to connect with her in my show notes. So please reach out and know that you do not have to walk this journey alone. And if today's episode, if this conversation brought up heavy feelings, please know that you don't have to carry them alone. And if you're living in the US and you're in emotional distress, call or text 988 to connect with the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline anytime, day or night. And if you need local resources, like counseling, housing, or community support, dial 211 to be connected with services in your area. I'll also leave these links in the description for easy access. So that concludes our episode. And as I always like to say, please, please, please take care of your mind, take care of your heart, your body, and soul. And always remember that my Endo Talks. Are you listening?